Stampers, it's Cynthia. Today I wanted to show you this wonderful Kat Scrappiness stamp set here, and this is a Halloween themed stamp set, and it's the Toil and Trouble layered stamp set with matching dies. So when you purchase this at Kat's shop, you're going to get the full stamp set and both the cat and the skull dies. So what I have done, because this is layered stamping, because it's a layered stamp set, there are 3 different images that once they're layered together, you get your final image. So there's 3 layers to the cat and there's 3 layers to the skull. So what I've done here is just pre-stamped a little sample of what I'm talking about. So you'll get a base layer for the skull, a middle layer, and a top layer. And then I have stamped this in a light gray, a darker gray, and then black. And that's the thing about layered stamping, is that you do want to use 3 different colors. And if you don't happen to have 3 different colors, sometimes you can just do multiple stampings. So let's say you only had a lighter gray, you could do you know, 1 stamping of it, you know, go into your ink pad and then just do a single stamping. And then for the middle layer, you could use the same ink, but double or even triple stamp it. And then that way you're going to get a darker, deeper gray. And then use black for your 3rd layer. So sometimes you don't necessarily have to have 3 separate ink pads. You could just do some multiple stamping of 1 color to make it darker. So anyway, there's some different options there. And the final skull is going to look like this. So you get a very realistic image. This one's actually pretty scary. But you can see that just by layering those 3 stamps, you're going to get a really beautiful, very detailed image. And then I went ahead and did the same thing with the cat. And again, there is a base layer that's solid, and then the middle layer, and then finally the top layer I did in black as well. And once you get all 3 of those colors together, you end up with a very beautiful cat. And this one, there's also a little stamp here that'll give you the eyes. And so I just used a real pretty apple green ink that I had, and I got the cat eyes that way. So again, a very realistic image. And if you happen to have a stamp positioning tool like the Misty or the Tonic, Tim Holtz stamp positioning tool, then this is the type of thing that works really well with that, because then you can get multiple images easily, and then you can layer things up a little more easily. One little trick I wanted to mention is that layers 1 and 2 on the skull match up really beautifully for stamping, but this layer is a little harder to line up. So I might recommend that you stamp the black first and then line up the other 2 on top of that. When I did it that way, I came out with a perfect skull. So for this particular set of stamps, you might want to consider doing this one first. And then you get a bunch of sentiments. So you've got Eat, Drink, and Be Scary, Double, Double, Toil and Trouble, Fire, Burn, and Cauldron Bubble. This one says Boo. This one says When Black Cats Prowl and Pumpkins Gleam, May Luck Be Yours on Halloween. And this one says Happy Halloween. And this one says Trick or Treat. So a lot of really good sentiments that you're going to be able to use on all of your Halloween cards and tags. So now that I've shown you this set, which is currently available in the Kat Scrappiness shop, I am going to go ahead and put a link to her shop down below for convenience for you. And then also I'm going to come back and do a card project with these items. So I'll be right back. Okay, so for my papers, I went ahead and used the scalloped collage die from Kat Scrappiness, and that's going to be the frame for this card. And I took this beautiful piece of persimmon cardstock, and this is a My Favorite Things product, and I love their cardstock because it's nice and thick, and it's great for a frame like this, because if you had a very thin cardstock, it would you know, be kind of floppy and harder to control the perfect angles. So I like a nice heavyweight cardstock for this frame. And then I went ahead and used the frame die again to cut out 3 coordinating pieces of Halloween themed paper. And this particular paper just so happens to be from my Mind's Eye. This is the Frightful Paper Pack, and this is actually from 2014. So this particular pad is not available anymore, but I really wanted to use it because it doesn't have a real cutesy look to it. Most of my Halloween themed items are Doodlebug, which of course are completely adorable, and that's fine, but for this skull, I didn't want to try to pair it with something that was too cutesy. So anyway, this little guy is going to sit here, and I thought it was cute because these pumpkins look like they're looking at him, and they're obviously freaked out. And then this piece here is going to be the top, and that's where I'm going to stamp my sentiment. But to prepare these papers, I've decided to do just a little bit of sponging around the edges with some black ink. So I'm just using my little dewdrop pad from Memento, and I'm just going to go ahead and kind of, just like you do, lightly distress these edges, and it's just going to kind of give you that creepy, dark Halloween feel. Alright, so for my sentiments, I'm going to use the Eat, Drink, and Be Scary, and then I'm also going to use Happy Halloween. So I've gone ahead and put them on my stamping block in the right position, and I'm just going to heat treat my paper, or excuse me, treat my paper with my anti-static tool. And I'm using my Hero Arts white embossing powder. And my Versamark sticky ink pad. I've got the little cube here. So I'm going to go ahead and get those stamps nice and inky. I do tend to be very generous with my ink because I don't want to miss any little spots, but I don't want to press too hard, especially with lettering, because I don't want to get the ink in the wrong place and then you won't be able to read what it says, so we don't want that. Now I'm going to do my best here to get this centered. there we go. That is our quick and easy little Halloween card. And I really, really like the way this turned out. I'm so glad that I went ahead and did that sponging. I think it adds just the right tone to the card. And everything about this card turned out really cute, and I love that skull. I wouldn't think that I'm a skull person, but apparently I am because I love this thing. So, if you wanted to, you could also do just a little more embellishing, and I think I will go ahead and do that because I happen to have the Ebony Black Nouveau Crystal drops, and I really, really love using my drops whenever I can. Oh good, I also have white. What do they call this? Just white. Well, that's straightforward. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and add a few of these. I'm looking for a scrap of paper. Hang on a sec. So what I like to do, just because of the way that the packaging is, see? That is a perfect example of why you don't want, see that lovely splatter? That was just a little air and a little product escaping the bottle. So whenever you're about to do your drops, do kind of a little practice drop, and on scrap paper, let any splotches come out that are going to come out, because you would hate to go through all the trouble of making your project, and then the first time you try to put a dot on here, it makes a big mess. So trust me when I tell you, you don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to put a dot here and another dot here. And you can make these drops any size that you want. And they do kind of settle down just a little bit. So if you feel like your dot is sitting too high, it will slowly sink down a bit. So I think I'll stop there. And then just add a couple of little black ones as well. And I love the Nouveau because it's nice and thick, so it's not going to come pouring out, which is great. But you just want to use a nice slow, even pressure, and there you go. And like I said, they will settle a bit. And then if you want to kind of encourage the shape, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick it up, and from the bottom I'm just going to flick with my finger just like this. And by flicking and tapping the paper, it's going to help encourage those drops to settle down a little bit and become more mounded instead of just like a ball sitting there. So between the flicking and just letting it be, they will settle into shape. So that is my final card project. I think it turned out really nice. I hope that you enjoyed it as well. And as I mentioned before, both the stamp set and the scalloped collage die are currently available at the Kat Scrappiness shop. So the link is down below this video in the description box. And if you also, upon checkout, enter your shopping code Cynthia10, then you will get 10% off your order. And that is your entire purchase. So whatever you want to shop for, just know that you're going to get an additional 10% off at checkout. So I really encourage you to do that. And I hope that you guys all have a fun and safe Halloween. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.